Welcome to the Grungy Girl Artsy Storage class.
You're going to start with a 12 by 12 piece of cardboard, and you are going to score through the top layer only 4 inches away from each of the 4 sides. Then you will end up with a grid that looks like the photo on the left. You're then going to cut out squares on either side of the cardboard so that it looks like the photo on the right. Now you're going to need to flatten out 2 of the flaps, and we're doing this so that the inside of the box is a little bit thinner and it makes it easier for the drawer to slide in and out of. There's a video inside the classroom, super short, and it shows you how I did it with a mallet. This is a super close-up picture trying to show you how I flattened out the cardboard that's on the left-hand side, and then the cardboard that's on the right is what the cardboard originally looked like. Now you're going to take a second piece of cardboard that's 10.5 by 10.5, and you're going to score 3.5 inches in on all 4 sides. That's going to give you another grid. You're going to cut out 2 of these sides like you did on the first one, and then on one side you're going to cut a little notch out, and that's going to be the hole that you use to pull the drawer in and out. On this one, you're going to need to flatten all 4 of the flaps, and you'll do it in the same way. The reason why you're doing that for this box is it's going to make the 2 sides a little bit thinner, and again, it's to make that box easier to slide in and out. For the outer box, you're going to add glue on the side that has the score lines. You can add them to the flaps that are on the top or the bottom, it doesn't really matter. But when you do fold the flaps up, you need to fold it so that the score is on the outside of the box, and then you're going to fold those flaps in, and then you can fold the flaps up from the other side as well. Once you have both sides folded up, you're just going to press the 2 sides of that box together and then use binder clips on the top to hold it, and you can hold the bottom of the box together until the glue is dry enough to hold itself together. On the box drawer, you're going to want to put the glue on the side that has the score lines as well, but you want the glue on the side that has the notch. The reason why you're doing this is because you want the box to be smaller at the back end than it is on the front end to make that box easier to slide in and out. Once you do fold the flaps up, make sure the scores are on the outside of the box, and then press those 2 sides together. You can use binder clips on this as well and hold the bottom until it feels like the glue is stuck well. And then you can test out your little box to see if the drawer slides in and out easily. You can make as many boxes as you like. My sample has 5 boxes, but you could make 9. You could make 20 if you'd like. You can use any kind of decoupage medium that you like. I tend to suggest Fast Finish Decoupage from Beacon because it gives a really smooth finish that's not tacky once it's dry, and it does dry really fast, just like the name suggests. If you use a fast drying medium, you're going to need to do small sections at a time where you'll paint the medium onto your box, then put the paper over it, and then paint the medium over the top. And you may have to do small sections for your papers. You can use maps, books, sheet music, pretty much anything that isn't crumbly. And you're going to want to make sure that you go over the corners of your boxes and maybe even have 2 or 3 layers over those corners, because that's going to strengthen your box. You're also going to want to go over the edges or the top of your box and make sure that it's nice and smooth, and that would make it so it's easy for the box to slide in and out. In the first photo, you can see how I did the top edges. I didn't go all the way down into the bottom because I'm going to paint it. And then the front part with the little notch, that part's a little bit tricky, but if you use a couple different layers of paper, you can usually get a nice smooth edge. When I am painting, I painted the whole inside of the box with a nice thick paint, and I used white, but you could use any color that you like. And I went all the way up to the top, but not over the top edge. I left that decoupaged on the top, and if you do happen to get a little bit of paint on there, you can use a damp paper towel or a baby wipe to just wipe that down. Having just the decoupage on the top is also going to make it so that that drawer will slide in and out fairly easily. You're going to paint the inside of the drawers as well as the inside of the outer boxes. I used color box spritzers to color the boxes, and the difference between these and what I usually use, the smooch spritzes, is that there's no mica or sparkle inside of the spritzers. There's a ton of pigment in them though, and you do not need much to get that nice color washed kind of a look on your boxes. So in the first picture I have just a tiny bit of color and it colored the box like you see in the center. Then I added just a couple more spritzes of a different color and blended that in as well. And these are a few different color combinations that I did on my boxes. To adhere all of the boxes together, I used a really strong liquid glue from Beacon called Quick Grip. You can use another type of glue, but it does need to be something that is extremely strong and that will not take too long to dry. Once you have the boxes glued together and you want it in between the top and bottom layer as well as the sides, you can use binder clips to hold it together, but you also need to hold them together with your hands for a couple of seconds until it is, till you know for sure that it has bonded. Now we're going to prepare the fronts of the boxes because right now they're kind of slick and we're going to be adding some texture to them. So you can either dry brush them with some plain white paint or you can use gesso, but plain white paint is enough to give you a prepared surface so that you can get the texture onto your boxes. I'm using flexible modeling paste from Liquitex, but there are a ton of different texture pastes that you could use. Some of my other favorites are ceramic stucco, glass beads, heavy gel. There's even one with fibers in it. But this one is the look that I wanted because I don't let them dry overnight. I actually use a heat gun on them and it makes the texture paste bubble and warp and it gives it a really, really cool texture. I am using an art screen from ClearSnap, and this is just their chevron art screen, but you could use any type of a stencil. And I'm also using a palette knife, but if you don't have a palette knife, you can use an old credit card or a membership card that's, you know, for one of those club memberships. Anything with a straight edge will actually work. Here are some of the other screens that I've used. The one on the top left is Swirl Dots. The one on the top right is a free screen that came with my Australian Scrapbooking Ideas magazine from Maya Road. The one on the bottom right is my stencil with Want to Scrap called Bricks, and the one on the bottom left is my stencil from Want to Scrap called Alphas. You'll notice too that I am not completely filling in the whole area most of the time. I leave a lot of open space so it looks very kind of mixed media and artsy. Here I am drying the texture paste with my heat gun and you can see how it bubbles almost like it's puffy paint. And then once it's dry, the edges are kind of rounded and smooth and kind of puffed up a little bit. I also colored the fronts of the boxes with spritzers, but I used water first. So I wet down the whole front of the box, then I spritzed the color on. So I used a blue first, and then I added a brown color to the blue in the picture on the right hand side. I just let it drip, and then I used my heat gun to dry it. And here are some of the other color combinations that I used. Then I went over them with my mixed media inks. In the first photo, I used my honey mixed media inks on all the different boxes. Just some of them have a lot of it, and some of them have just small bits of it. In the photo on the right on top, I used my denim mixed media inks, and then on the bottom left is my truffle. So you can see I've got the denim like coming in from the edges on most of those boxes and a little bit towards the center, and then the truffle is just really right on the edges and really not very much of that in the middle of the boxes. Once you have all of the boxes inked the way that you like them, then you're going to sprinkle the front of your boxes with clear embossing powder. You'll tap off the excess, and then you're going to heat set that. So in the photo on the left, you can see that the whole front of those boxes are covered with that white, or it's going to be clear, but it's kind of a white powder right now. And then in the photo on the right hand side, in the bottom right hand corner, you can see where the heat gun is melting that embossing powder and it's becoming clear. And then those colors underneath become more vibrant. You want to dry your boxes, the drawers and the outer boxes completely, and then let them sit overnight as well. And then before you put the drawers inside of the outer boxes, it helps if you take some baby powder and you rub all three of the sides as well as the bottom with baby powder. Don't put any baby powder on the front. You don't need it there. You just need it on the areas where it's going to be touching the other box. If at any time you feel like your box drawers are starting to get sticky, you can add more baby powder and it should keep your drawers sliding in and out very easily. And this is my finished project.
Thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you in some of my future classes here on the Girly Grunge site.